Hey, thanks for watching the Recovery Vow podcast. We're so glad that you're joining us today. On today's episode, I've got my wife, Kristen, who's here, and we are celebrating our 11-year anniversary. I'm also celebrating our 1-year anniversary, Recovery Vow's 1-year anniversary, as a nonprofit. Under that nonprofit, we have this podcast, we have the book, Marriage After Addiction. I'll hold that up. And we also have these new online courses we're rolling out. The other guest I have on today's episode is my son, Cameron, who's graduating this year. By the time this comes out, he will have graduated, but we're going to talk about what his life has been like, just seeing me as his dad in recovery, just kind of seeing our marriage and what it's like in recovery. And to be honest, I just want to celebrate what it's like being a generational breaker for my kids. And so just tune into this episode. Watch the full thing on our YouTube channel, or you can stream it on any of your favorite platforms, or you can watch it on our website, www.recoveryvow.com. Welcome to the Recovery Vow podcast. I'm your host, Eric Kennedy. All right, thanks for joining us on the Recovery Vow podcast. Today is a celebration day because we've been around for a year. And I've had a lot of privilege serving and talking, communicating with so many of you that listen all over the United States, all over the world, really. Thank you so much for the emails, to our donors and our sponsors. Thank you guys so much. To Stevens Creek Church and EXO, thank you so much for supporting me and allowing me to do this. And today I've got some really special guests on the podcast. One is a returning huge influencer. She's been on the podcast before, but in her busy schedule, she was able to fit time in. It's my wife, Kristen.
Hello. Happy to be back.
I love her radio voice.
Yeah.
And then today I've got my son Cameron. So Cameron has some big plans coming up. He's going to be graduating high school in 2 weeks?
Yes, sir, on the 21st.
So by the time this comes out, you would have graduated high school.
Yeah.
You may even be on your senior trip by then.
Probably will.
So the reason that I wanted to have you guys on was there's several reasons. I want to talk about our past, and then I want to talk about where we are now, and I want to talk about where we're going. And I want it to just be conversation, just like we had a hard conversation the other night in the living room, right? Because we're talking. I'm trying to parent this man that's living in my house, and I do that by just having conversation with you. And Kristen's really good at saying, okay, try to watch your tone, try to do this, try to do that.
Try not to get defensive.
Yeah.
Try to.
Y'all
we have
feed
to.
well off of each other.
Thank you. We try. We do. That's why they say opposites attract, right?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like when parenting, and Cameron, maybe you can add some commentary here. We've always, and I told Cameron the other day, bless his heart, he's our oldest, so he's our guinea pig. I reminded him that this is all of our first time doing life, right? And including you. So can we tell him a little bit about what happened? He locked his keys out of his truck the other day, and that was hard.
You want to tell that story right now?
No, we don't have to tell it right now, but I'm just talking about parenting and what we were dealing with. And we're in that stage of life where we're trying to remind each other as parents, and then remind Cameron as well, grace is important. And it was frustrating. We got a call at 11 o'clock at night saying, hey, I'm locked out of my truck. My car's running. What do I do? And just remind what you were talking about, just reminding each other to give each other grace and give him grace. I said, this is his first time doing life. And he's
also my first time locking my keys out of my truck.
Yeah, his first time locking his keys out of his truck.
I think we also found it wasn't your fault, though.
It was not.
We won't go into that.
Yeah.
We're not going to throw anybody under the bus. Either way, we had a good life lesson out of that, right? And
Yeah,
I think the biggest thing for us is just remembering just to talk and just to hear each other out, because we didn't know until the last minute exactly what happened. And, that's why it's important to just, and, this kind of ties into what we're going to talk about today, but just having those conversations and keeping the frustrations at a minimum, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a good lesson for you to carry on and into your own life, as you grow up. And Daddy and I try to model that well for you guys.
You have to understand, not only am I in recovery from drugs and alcohol, you guys were part of when I was doing drugs and alcohol, and so I've only been sober for 15 years this September. But
how old are you, Cameron?
I'm 17, about to be 18.
Yeah.
So you got to think I'm a 15-year-old really in my way of thinking. Like I'm trying to be your friend, trying to be your dad, but trying to be like a level-headed 45-year-old is tough sometimes. And this is my first time doing it, you know?
Yeah.
I haven't had a 17-year-old before.
Yeah. And I don't know if we've talked about, you and I have talked about this before. Somebody pointed it out to me, Cameron. I don't know if we've ever told you, but how long were you struggling with addiction? From 13?
15 to 16 years, something like that. Yeah.
But how old was it when you started? Like, you were like 13 when you first started? Like, well, you were experimenting then, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, anyway, from the time he started addiction or, drugs and alcohol to however old you were when you got sober,
30.
there was a lot of time and growth that Daddy kind of missed out on. If you think about it, like maturity, like think about the things you've learned in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
During that time, Daddy was struggling with, drugs and alcohol, and it kind of put him a few steps back of some of those milestones and maturity levels. And so somebody pointed that out to me one time, and I thought that was very interesting. And that's what I have to remember sometimes too, when you and I have,
How far back can you remember?
yeah.
So I was about like 2.
You can remember when you were 2?
I don't know.
What are you, Rain
Feels
Man?
like
I remember I just remember spawning. I don't know. Like,
Tell me, let me ask you, I don't think I've ever asked you this. Do you remember any time seeing me in my addiction? Do you remember?
Like a beer in your hand or
Beer in
doing
my
any kind of
hand.
drugs? Or
I have a vivid memory of when we were at Chavis' house one time. I walked outside and you had a cigarette in your hand. And I was like, I guess that's what he does or something. I don't know. I was like pretty young.
His
I was already
cigarettes are if that's the worst he remembers, babe, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I had been sober for like 2 years.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, you were 6 or 7 years old, right?
Yeah, well,
I
because
mean, I just remember someone was smoking a cigarette.
it was
was
probably
me.
him.
Oh, it was me. I quit smoking.
When we were dating, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know him when he was doing drugs and alcohol, but he was smoking. And I didn't ever really see you do it. I have a memory of you also standing outside that house smoking a cigarette. And at that place that you worked, I would go see you on your lunch break.
I hated working there.
I know you did.
Which one?
Don't
That
say
building that we talk about called the Atrium.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
hate is
Do
a
you remember that-
strong word. It paid the bills.
I'm not going to pay. I'm talking about the people that work there.
Yes.
Do you remember that one place then that lady gave us a box of Legos with the green lid?
Oh, yeah.
I forgot that lady's name, but she also gave us a Wii.
Barbara.
Barbara.
Oh, Miss Barbara. She was sweet. That's not what you were referring to. That's not the job you were referring to.
Yeah.
Did-
No,
not with
that was the
Barbara.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barbara was after.
Speaking of Legos, I have something odd. Did you know that Daddy used to sell your toys
Nope.
to buy?
No, I
First time
didn't
figured-
sell them. I gave them. If the drug man needed something, I would take your stuff over there.
Is that what happened with that skeleton when we moved into his house?
No, son. Listen, when we moved into Chavis's house, I was sober.
Oh, yeah.
I had custody of you and Christian, and we were just poor.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all that was. No, I'm talking like when you were younger. If the man needed something, like I lived in this little home trailer down in Wagner, and so when you and Christian would come there and stay. That's why I was asking. Like, you don't remember any of this? I don't think I've ever told you. I was dating this girl, and you and Christian would come down, but there was no furniture in the house, but when you guys stayed, we would all sleep in a bed together. And I would make sure you guys still took naps in the day because I was hungover. And so if you would sleep, I could get some rest from staying up, because when you guys were there and I would get you down for the night, if I was drinking, but if I had enough in me, I had like enough courage that I would leave you two there and go to the drug man's house.
That's
And
I feel like you have told us that before.
Well, when I came back one time, you woke up and I was in the living room. I'm not going to say what I was doing, but it wasn't healthy.
Okay.
Or legal.
Very illegal. And you said where, I can't remember if you said, where have you been, or where's Christian? Because you were barely talking. Christian couldn't really talk. And I couldn't count to 3. Like I had so much paranoia. Like I ran outside looking for Christian. Like, he was in the room, but I was like, "Where's my kids at? I only got 2 kids."
I think.
Like I was freaking out. And I'm not saying that because it's a funny story, and I don't want this to be like dark and heavy because it's not what this is meant to be about. This is meant for the listeners that are listening to this that are struggling with drugs and alcohol or some kind of a substance abuse. Like, they leave their kids at home. Like, their addiction takes over their brain so much that they just don't process. Like, this is not how you do life. Mm-hmm. This is not how you are as a daddy. You know, I wasn't being a good daddy. You know, but that was just a part of it. And so I didn't know how far back you could remember. But if you only remembered at Chavis's house, that's
in recovery,
plenty far back. I was already sober then.
And I think this is a good reminder to like you said, the listeners that, I mean, you tell me these stories, Eric, and I can hardly...
There's some good ones.
I can hardly
They're
believe.
Good.
I mean, they're like you said, it's funny, but let's think, you know, the people that are walking through this now, it's probably hitting home for some people. And they're like, you know, it's funny now, but I hope that they can see, like, looking at you two now and, you know, about to graduate high school, the same little boy that his daddy didn't know where he was at one point because he was doing something illegal and not in his right mind. Y'all are sitting here today and because of a choice you made to get clean.
It is. I mean, you're right. I mean, I didn't mean it, I'm just trying to keep life and laughter to this.
I'm just saying.
Because I tell you these stories and you look at me like, who are you?
I just can't believe it. Yeah, because I look at you now and just to remind everybody, when you and I met, you were 2 years sober. Mm-hmm. And so
What chip did you give me? 3 years?
3, I believe. Yeah, Dave had given you your 2, and I think, and so just, yeah, I didn't know you, so that's something else that kind of sets us apart a little bit, I guess, is I didn't walk through you through active addiction, but I've definitely been there through a newly recovered man, you know, newly.
Yeah, it's weird sometimes because I'll be talking to my friends and I'll be like, yeah, my dad was in addiction or something, and I'll show them like a picture, like the one that you posted or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's not like my dad. Like, that doesn't look anything like him.
We don't know that guy anymore. Yeah, like, he's such a stranger to us. Like, and so hearing these stories, mind blown. Like, I just can't believe.
It's a totally different life.
You're so lucky that you made it through this and that Cameron and Christian made it through this when there were times they were left alone. And I mean, because that could have unfortunately gone so many different ways.
Yeah,
you know?
and I'm not proud of it. You know, I remember I was never proud of it. I'm more proud of, you know, how we've grown in recovery, you know, in my recovery, because I remember them telling me, I was like, I'm going to do this for my kids. And they're like, no, don't do it for your kids. You got to do it for you first. And so now when I ask people that come to me, want help, I'm like, you got to want it. I can't do it for Cameron. I can't do it for Christian. I can't do it for our daughter. I just have to do it for me. Because if I'm good, then the opportunity's there for them to have the things that they need. But when I look at Cameron, because we brag on Cameron a good bit. We brag on all of our kids.
Yeah, we're proud of all of them.
Cameron's about to graduate high school, and he hasn't ever seen me that he can remember drunk or high or anything like that. Do you feel like that would have changed anything, or do you know people that you go to school with, they have to deal with that at home? And you don't have to name any names or anything, but I'm just trying to lay out, you know, this helps you or this hurts you, or do you? Because I don't feel like I think you've experimented. You've told me that.
Yeah.
But it just didn't.
It's not me.
Yeah.
It's not for me. I mean, I have friends that, like, their parents are recovering, like, alcoholics or drug addicts, and I'm like, even looking at their parents, I'm like, they don't look like they would have done that. Yeah. But, like,
it affects so many people.
Oh, yeah. And I have a lot of friends now. Like, I know that sounds like stuck up, but, like, I talk to a lot of people. And, like, I have people that friends are, or their parents are, like, in addiction. And I'm like, you got it rough. Like, because, like, they just are always in a bad mood.
What do you think makes them, oh, really? Oh, so that's how it affects them.
They're always, like, just, like, depressed or anything. Like, those are kind of, like, not the weird kids, but they're the weird kids.
Because they don't have support at home,
yeah,
you feel
they
like.
don't have any kind of parental figure to, like, help them out if, like, times are tough or whatever.
No, I get that.
Cameron, you know what I just thought about, and this is what I was going to say earlier. Do you remember, so just talking about, like, how you never saw Daddy drink, or really me either. I remember when Daddy and I first met, and that's kind of one of the things I thought we should talk about today, too, is, you know, you had a problem with drugs and alcohol, and I was a social drinker, you know, mainly before I met you, but of age, 21 and things like that. You know what I mean? I never had.
You socially.
I was a social drinker. We went to the clubs and all that. You know what
they would do? They would play Zach Brown Chicken Fried and dance on the dance floor.
That's a good song,
That's a
right?
good song.
We would get a Mick Ultra and
girls,
hold the Mick Ultra.
Come out here in the middle of the floor.
We did that at a wedding, okay? And he has not let me live it down.
Everywhere we
and
went.
So, funny story that goes with that. That was a tradition with my girlfriends at the weddings when we were in our 20s. One of us got married. We sang Zach Brown. Daddy witnessed it, has never let me live it down. So, at my 40th birthday, that was just a few weeks ago, do you know why Daddy hired a DJ? Because he wanted the DJ to be able to play Chicken Fried. And was there any alcohol at my birthday?
No, there was not.
No, there was not. And so I told him, I said, Eric, you realize that the reason we got in the middle of that circle and sang Chicken Fried is because we had a Mick Ultra in our hand and we were acting like little sorority girls, toasting our beers and stuff like that.
But I wanted people to, I thought it was going to last longer than it did. I thought it was
it's
going to
okay.
the night.
I just thought it was funny that you had high expectations of my girlfriends and I completely sober going out there singing Chicken Fried in our 40s. And I love you for that. That's one of the things I love about you.
That's not why I got that DJ.
But anyway, one of the other things I wanted to ask Cameron about, do you remember, so when Daddy and I first met, it was before you came on staff at the church. I think we were at Uncle Josh and Lauren's rehearsal dinner. You were probably 6 or 7. Yeah. And I had some wine in my hand and you came up to me and you were like, and it was when you called me KK. I wish that would have stuck, but they call me Kristen now. But you said, KK, what are you drinking? Like you were offended that I had wine in my hand. Do you remember ever thinking that when you would see me drink? Like it was very uncomfortable for you.
Yeah, I remember I would see you with a glass of wine or whatever, and I'd be like, that's weird.
Yeah, it's like he just thought it was like kind of like a bad, thing, and he didn't understand that the social part of it. And anyway, it made me feel bad. I remember that too, and I was very conscientious of that from that time on. That
I've told you a lot of stories from when I was in my past. Do you think that those stories scared you, and that's
of alcohol
or the alcohol and the drugs, just knowing that I went to jail and all of that?
I mean,
does it play a part?
Oh, definitely. When I have that was my first thought. I was like, I'm not trying to end up like my dad was, because you're kind of lucky to be doing this now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, very lucky.
Because I'll go with my friend. I'll go to my friend's house and I'll see their parents drinking or whatever. I'm like, that's still weird.
Yeah.
I'm not shunning them. I'm just not. I guess I'm not used to it because y'all don't drink or anything or smoke or anything.
Isn't that crazy though? So again, I hope listeners out there hear this, and some people feel like they're giving up hope because they have young kids. Y'all were 2, 3, 4 when this was going on.
Yeah.
It's not too late, right? The fact that you can turn your life around, and now our oldest son here is sitting here saying he feels almost like not uncomfortable again, because we have no judgment towards people socially. Right? If that's what people choose to do, that is totally fine. We have just chosen in our family to approach recovery, in a way that
I respect it.
We respect it, and we've always been open and honest with the boys about Daddy being in recovery. I think we've always pretty much kept it age appropriate, when they were little. Y'all never question, why aren't y'all drinking? Y'all didn't really question it, but you would look at me like, why are you drinking that wine? Because it wasn't normal for you.
Yeah.
But as they've gotten older, we've wanted them to be aware that recovery is something that or addiction, I guess, is something that's hereditary. And we've always wanted the boys to kind of have that in the back of their head, but let them also have their own journey, right? Mm-hmm. But just to know that, hey, this is something your dad struggled with, and we just want you to be aware of it. And I think that's kind of what you're saying you've done. It's it's almost like it's not worth it, right? To even take that chance for more than one reason. Yeah.
It's a good mix. You do like 90s music, which is great, but then you don't drink. So it's a good mix. You know what I mean? And I think, there's so many different things that I love about you, but you've just, it's like you are a version that I should have been at your age. Really. Yeah. I just didn't choose it. So, the way that you're choosing it lets me know
choice.
that I've been successful at being a generational breaker a little bit.
That's right.
I can't speak into, your kids one day. That'll be for you to parent, and we'll figure it out. But, I just want you to know I'm proud of you.
Thank you
for that.
Mm-hmm. We are very proud of you.
Do you have any we talked about memories a minute ago. Do you have a scary memory from when you were a kid? Like you said, you thought you could remember back to 2 years old, but you really can't. You can remember back to when you were 6. But is there a time have you ever dealt with something that's been traumatic that you feel like could have been an easy trigger?
Not really. I mean, maybe because I feel like you used to be like short-tempered, but I feel like you've definitely gotten better with it. But like I remember being at our house in Canterbury Farms.
Wait a minute. Tell this. Oh yeah, tell the story.
Like I remember me and Kristen got like really scared because we shared a room, and we got like paper and we'd be like, "Please don't argue," and we'd like slide down the stairs so hopefully I would see.
Who, me and Daddy argued?
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, he's right. So when Eric and I first got married, we had
you would slide paper down the stairs that says "Please don't argue," just hoping we would see it.
Yeah.
So when we first got married, we had, and we've talked to them about that. We had a lot against us, and I think we've told you that too. Like not against us, but
just things we didn't realize.
We didn't realize. Like we had to, and I think we did talk to you about this recently. So when people get married, they say the first year of marriage can be either this hunky-dory honeymoon period or the hardest year of your life. It was a little of both for us, but we did have to learn how to disagree. And unfortunately, Daddy and I we grew up with 2 different backgrounds and 2 different examples of how to argue and things like that. He also was in a marriage before that had a different style of arguing and things like that because y'all had drugs and alcohol involved in that marriage, right? And so I felt like, and I kind of had to tell Daddy, like, listen, like, and this also came with our time growing in our faith as well, but we had to realize, like, we were on one team. I remember one of the biggest arguments I remember from when we first got married.
You want to tell the towel story?
It was, no, we've already told that. The towels, yes. We had a conversation about that earlier, didn't we? The towels. Yeah. For everybody listening, one of our very first arguments.
I will share the towel story one day with you. It will be an entire podcast. Listen, and in my defense, I think you were kind of being a little bit of a punk about it. I liked my towels folded a certain way, and he folded them the wrong way. I think a 3-fold is appropriate because they fit better on the shelves. And he knew that, but he folded them 2-way. The shelf is only seen by her and myself in a master bedroom closet. It's not when you caulk in the front door, oh, look at this shelf of towels.
Right, yeah. Okay, and I learned to let things go.
This,
yeah.
We're still working.
No, it's okay. But he folded towels for me this afternoon, and what did I say to you?
You were like, your dad does not fold towels, right?
I said, good job. You're going to make your wife very happy one day. Although I know some women do like the 2-fold method. But anyway, that was just an example of a silly fight. That's not what I was going to say. Oh. One of our first fights, I remember, was about like their homework and about...
Well, they had too much.
Yes, they did. And about sending a snack in for school for you. And so Daddy, in your first grade class, you needed a snack every day. And Daddy, and I'm such a rule follower, Daddy thought that he should just send in a bulk thing of snacks for you for the teacher to disperse. Looking back now, I realize I should have let you do that because your way of thinking at that time was... I need to survive. I've checked the box. I'm doing what I can to survive.
I'm just built that way. Like I can't have the little red numbers on my text messages or my emails.
For sure.
I have to. I don't care if I read them or like them or not. I just open it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm checking the box.
I get that about you now, and I didn't know you well then enough, and I've learned these things about you since then, which is why you don't see us arguing like we did when we were younger. You know what I mean? Like you get to know people, and you learn to say, okay, look, this is important to him, or this is just how he's wired. You have to see the good in what they're doing, that he's not trying to be difficult and ask a teacher to do something special for you. I'm over here trying to be the rule follower saying, no, you're supposed to send a snack in every day. So it was like silly stuff like that you would hear us arguing about. You know what I mean? And so we were trying to navigate being married, but we were also trying to navigate learning to parent together because you were the primary custodial parent and you had them most of the time. They were going to school with us. So we had a lot against us. And I do hate that y'all had to witness that as little kids to hear us arguing. And you're right, Daddy was a little bit more short-tempered then. But I think a lot of that does come with, and I don't know if you can.
I was 2 years old.
You were 2 years old. He was 2 years in recovery. And he did. He got short-tempered over things that he shouldn't have necessarily gotten short-tempered over.
Well, and I've told you, like, I don't like being backed in a corner.
Yeah, and
we would get in these arguments, and I just felt like I was backed in a corner.
And I think you also...
And it was a fear.
Yeah,
all fears are just usually something where you're fears and anger. Anger comes from fear.
You're right.
And so I was just angry that I was scared, I think, because I wasn't able to control the situation. And this is how I know how to do these things, you know?
Yeah.
And you mix in 2 little toddlers and on top of that. And, oh, by the way, you can't drink today.
Yeah.
How much more you want me to do? You know, like, you know, you think I'm really worried about the towels or the whatever
homework
or the homework?
snacks,
No,
right.
let's hurry up and check the box.
Yeah.
I got to hurry up and get this
And
day over with.
and you know me, I'm not just to check the box. We're going to do it the right way.
Yeah, she's going to draw the lines and make sure.
Now he just kind of lets me do my thing, right? I mean, but we've learned
we've
been
see
together
the good in
each other, right? Yeah, 11 years, and so it does make me sad to think back to that, and I'm gonna get teary eyed because I hope that y'all don't remember a ton of that, but I know we used to argue when we first got married.
Yeah,
and,
I mean,
and
I think everybody has disputes.
And unfortunately, y'all were a child of a second marriage, right? And so you were brought in on the newlywed stage of our marriage. And like Daddy said, he was only 2 years. That's a good way of putting it. You were only 2 years old. You were only 2 years sober. And so you were trying to figure out this new wife and this new wife that was extra and who was parenting extra. And you were used to parenting.
And you got to mix that in there too. Like, we love your mom, you know, but she has to be a part of this too. Like, she has say-so in what happens with you guys, even though y'all were living with me, you know, and I had to honor that. So it was like, I'm not with her, but I have to hear her still, you know, and so.
And she knows I'm extra too. She knows I'm extra too. She and I mean, and she even told me the other day, she's like, you do the party plan. And we were talking about, like, we just all have found each other's gifts into this. And we have done I feel like we've done pretty well co-parenting together. And, but I'm glad that you can recognize that. I'm glad that Daddy has come a long way, and Daddy has done a good job of, I feel like, coping with those, when you feel like you're backed in a corner. So tell us, what do you feel like you do differently now
I think it's age.
Yeah.
I really think it's age. And then I remember somebody told me when the boys were little, it could have been Chris, I don't remember. It doesn't matter. They said, the smaller the child, the smaller the problem. The bigger the child, the bigger the problem. And that is the truth. And so I had to understand that what I was in my mind fighting against isn't that important. It may be necessary, but bigger problems are coming. So mentally, I need to prepare for that. You know, you guys, and it's the truth. Like, the older Christian has gotten, it's, you know, I've had to parent him differently than I parent you, and I had to parent your sister differently than I parent both of you guys. But then it also came to just learning, like Kristen said, you know, who this new family was. This family of 5 people.
4, then we added a 5th.
And then added Charlie Kate, and if you want to count Lola, she's
10 years
6.
later, because y'all are, Cameron and our youngest, Charlie Kate, they're exactly 10 years apart, right? Our bookends.
So, you know, when you ask that question, I wish I could give you the most perfect answer, but it just comes with experience. I mean, it really does. I mean, I've grown.
You've got really good mentors in your life too, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
think that's important too.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's I've talked about this in the book, you know, your places and your playgrounds and your playmates. You know, and I'm not trying to get churchy, but it is important. Like, that's when I said you can listen to 90s music, it's not a trigger for you, but like, that was my vibe.
Like your escape.
That was my escape, you know. And so it's just comes with just growing up. You know, I've grown up with you. Even though I'm your dad, like, I've grown up with you.
Really have. Y'all really have. I mean,
like brothers.
With your sobriety. And do you feel like, Cameron, I'm curious, like, do you feel like it's out there a lot, like the alcohol, like when you're out, do you feel like, you know, is it easy to say, no, I'm okay, or, you know, you know, like.
Personally, I think it's really easy to just be like,
I'm good. Yeah.
I don't do that. But, like, I can definitely tell, like, other people, it's like, yeah, I'm good, and then 10 minutes later, they're like, never mind. I'll get a beer.
Partake.
Yeah.
I get that. I just, you know, I can't make decisions for you. I just always want you to, don't use me as an example. Just think it through.
Like, think it through. That's right. Yeah, think it through. And
is that going to be is that the best decision to make today?
Yeah.
And is this going to matter 5 years from now? Or, you know, like, what, like, and it could, like, especially for somebody who's got addiction, and they're like, this could affect you 5 years from now, unfortunately, if you choose to partake in certain things like that. Right?
Another like big fear when it comes to like doing any of that, I'm like, if somebody like catches me, like, no, like that would be so like bad.
Yeah, that was always my biggest fear. I was always, and talking
That
about
was
Daddy
always
having
like
a temper. And,
part of the thing why I did it. Like, it's the not getting caught. That was a drug in itself.
Yeah.
Like doing wrong.
Yeah. So, and that's good. I'm very glad you have that. That's a good
Well, it's
thing
also
you
like,
have.
like, especially after this podcast, it'd be like, what did I go on the podcast for? Or like,
Yeah.
it's like, what are you even doing your podcast for? Because I mean, you're speaking to all these people, but it doesn't seem like you're speaking
Living
to me
it, yeah.
or Kristen or, I mean, Charlie Kate one day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, people may ask why I invited my son and my wife to come on the podcast. You guys aren't in recovery, but you are.
Yeah, we lived through it with you. I mean, there's, and I've told Daddy before, one of the things I noticed, like, again, I wasn't with him when he was an active addict, but
Alcohol,
yeah, he just, one thing about Daddy, and I'm sure you can agree that we noticed that Daddy likes to have something going on all the time, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he likes
not
that,
as much anymore.
Not as
at
much
my
anymore.
age.
Yeah, but he likes to have
down.
a project, and that used to drive me nuts. And that's probably some of the things you might have heard us arguing about. Because remember,
Like Blue Manor?
Remember at the Blue Remember at the Blue
No,
House?
Blue Manor was really good.
No, Blue Manor was great. That was our business. But remember
Still
at
do
the
it
Blue
a little
House,
bit.
he knocked a wall out. Remember between the dining room and all.
Okay, pause.
That was good too, but I'm just saying, you
great.
always had a project going on.
You were all for it. This is what gets me is we've knocked a hole in the wall. Or no, we were about to. We were about to knock a hole in the wall. The guy's coming the next day, and she's like, "Do we really want to do this?" I'm like we got to mash the gas on this. Yeah, we're doing it.
We had somebody on the way.
Yeah, they're on the way.
I'm just.
But then you throw in the backyard and cutting down trees and remodeling the
Exactly.
kitchen.
But you always do a good job, so no complaints.
Yeah.
But I remember just saying, like, listen, can we just coast? Like, do we always have to? And coasting is still hard for us, right? I mean, we do better though. But I've kind of met
just
you.
get on and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, I've just learned to
You
enjoy
literally
the ride.
you don't have to sit in the front seat. Just
And
sit in
there's
the back
so many
seat.
things
I'll
that
drive
I'm
it.
laughing because there's so many things that I've learned about Daddy just in these 11 years. Like, we were on the cruise last week, and we got to St. Thomas, and we're like, okay, what are we going to do? Do we rent a taxi? What do we do? And Eric's like, hold on, I'm going to go rent a car. And I'm like, why don't we just do like all the other 300 people here and rent a taxi? Like
3,000,
a normal
6,000 people.
person. But Daddy wants to go a step ahead and rent a car.
Well, I used to live there, so I
and
mean, I
right.
know my way around.
I know, right. But listen.
I really did know my way around.
10 years ago, that would have drove me insane that you couldn't have just gone the easy way. You had to go up, take it 2 steps further. But I looked at my mom, who was on the cruise with us, and I said, you know what, this would have drove me crazy 10 years ago, but I've learned certain things like this. Just let him do it. He'll either probably...
He enjoys it.
He enjoys it. That's right. He enjoys it. And who am I to sit there and steal his joy? Like, I truly thought that. Like, he had an idea.
I left them at the port.
He did.
And I called the closest. They didn't have rental cars there, but I called the closest one, and it was
He Googled it.
Leo's Cars or something like that. It's like a 10-minute walk. I walked to it from the port. I showed up to this little tiny shop where they were working on some cars.
I mean, there were chickens
on
walking
a
past.
one-lane road.
Yeah. Trash.
Said,
all
"Hey,
over.
I'm looking for Leo's Rental. This is the address. You the guy that called? Yeah. You need a car? Yeah. You got $150? Mm-hmm. He just threw the keys to me to his car.
He said, here, take mine.
Yeah, take
Oh,
mine.
God.
Didn't sign any paperwork. He shows up.
I just popped in this. What was
Guy's
it, a
car.
Durango? Just call Kristen and her dad. Like, I'm on the way. Like, y'all be out front.
And again, this is why I just let you do your thing now.
And we drove on the left
yeah.
side of the road. So, I mean, that was new. I think that scared your mom.
Yeah, a little bit, but we
made
survived.
it.
No, she had a good time. But my point is that I let you do your thing now, and
Yeah.
I just know you're going to take care of us, and we're
Because
going
I'm going to do it with you or
it
without you at
tracks,
this
right?
point. I'm going to come pick you up. Better be ready.
Yeah, no.
Cameron, I
That's
do
good
want to ask. Well, I want to spin back something real quick. We said this. We've been married for 11 years. Do you remember we went on our honeymoon and then we got separated on the plane? Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Like you had the middle seat, but you got claustrophobic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think I've told you this. I had told a lot of people this. But when I had to sit by myself, I had my laptop.
Yeah, I got upgraded to first class. That's right. I know what you're talking about now. No, I'm just saying. Yeah, no.
Easy. What I'm saying is that you were
I was
you
trying to
couldn't
think
sit
why
with
I got
me.
separated from
You
you.
were claustrophobic. You were sick.
Yes, they moved me.
I remember getting my laptop out and I wrote down the new me and the addict, and I started writing down all the things that I could remember that I've done in the past, because it was going to be like a flight for 6 hours. So I'm like, I started just writing, and I think then in my head I wanted to just start keeping up with a list, because I would have these different things that would come back. Like I couldn't remember everything at one time. I've always tried to go back as far as I can remember, and then play my life through, and then think through like, this is, I did this when I was whatever age. Anyway, but I really wanted to focus on when I was in addiction, from who I dated to, crimes to good stuff, bad stuff, whatever. And when I was writing that, I said, one day I'd love to write a book. And this had nothing to do with, the book. I was going to write I thought it was going to be like this really cool autobiography that would be like a comic, a comical book / autobiography.
I always told you should write a book because you have so many stories.
There's so many stories.
Yeah. Called the first chapter, 1979.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Did you know that? Did I tell you that?
Yeah.
Well, that was the first name of the first chapter.
Yeah, 1979.
Yeah, and I just kept that. I kept that from the time that we went on that honeymoon 11 years ago until, 2 years ago, and I was like, I want to pitch the idea of writing a book. Because I wonder if that book and the work that we do now, me and you even together, through mediation or XO or the church or whatever, if we had a resource like that, if it would have kept the towel fight from happening. Yeah,
I know. I mean, like I said, I think so. Yeah. I mean, because I think our biggest problem was, we were looking at each other as opponents during our argument, instead of realizing that, hey, talking about the homework and the snack fight, that our both of us had the same goal. And that was to make sure Cameron had a snack, right? We both had the same goal. You looked at it one way. I looked at it another way. We didn't stop to say, this is why he's doing this. Like now I look at that and I'm like, that poor, precious, sweet Eric at that time in his life. I look at that now and I'm like, that my husband has always known how to survive in the moment that he was in. You have always done a good job of saying, this is how much money I have in this moment. This is how much resources. This is the capacity. This is all I have in this moment to give. So I'm going to send Cameron snacks in this way. And instead of looking at and seeing the good in what you were doing, I saw you as being lazy and that you were just trying to take the easy way out, and in my head, where I'm an Enneagram 1 for anybody that's familiar with Enneagrams, but I'm an Enneagram 1. So I'm a rule follower, do things the way they're supposed to be done.
When I'm an Enneagram 3.
Yeah. And
I don't know what any of that is.
It's okay. We'll have to do yours later. But we had to learn to adjust and to look at, okay, we both have the same goal here, and that's for Cameron to have a snack. And instead of us fighting against each other about the reason why we should do it the way we should do it, we've learned to just sit back and listen to each other and say, okay, like, let's revisit this. And even me and you had a disagreement not too long ago, and it was about the kids. I mean, most of our disagreements, it was about the kids and how to handle the situation with Cameron and
locking your keys in your car.
The situation we were dealing with at the time. And so we were saying, well, they should have done this. He should have done this. He should have done this. And I was like, listen, neither one of us are mad at Cameron. We're not mad that he locked his keys in his car. We're mad at, now I won't go air his dirty laundry. We're mad at some of the background information that happened. And we need to figure out how to parent that. We need to figure out how to parent that so that Cameron doesn't, because our main thing we've always told both of you and your brother is, if you guys ever get into a predicament, whatever it might be, locking your keys in your car, your friend has drank too much at a party and you don't want to get in the car with them, call me, no questions asked. I will come take care of it. And that's what I want them to remember. So in the heat of the moment as a parent, it's easy to say, oh, I'm so frustrated at you. But really, we're glad. We're so glad you called us.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why'd you call Kristen first?
Oh, because you didn't answer your phone?
He said he called you. You didn't answer your phone.
I was sleeping.
Well, so then he called me.
Oh.
And so he did call you. But
I thought you called her first because you knew that you would get like some wrath or something from me.
No, that's why I didn't call Mama first.
So I think though, that, I mean, And Mama has the same.
So you know that I would come save you.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
I
Now
hope
with
you know
question,
that-
I have a lot of
yes.
questions.
Oh, I know. But I mean,
He knows Mama likes her sleep. She was
Yeah.
sleeping. So, but no, and I just that was so important to me in the moment. And you, Daddy had just gotten woken up, and I was trying so hard to just remind him, like, this, he's doing what we've asked him to do. He's calling us, you know what I mean? And I don't want you ever to be afraid to call us, no matter what the situation. And so we kind of were back and forth about that, and you listened to me, and I felt you listening to me, and that means so much to me, you know, as your wife, just to know that my husband hears me. Because there was a time in our lives that I didn't feel like you heard me, you know, and I think, you know, again, just somebody as or somebody in recovery, like you said, you always used to feel like when we argued before that you were being backed into a corner, but you have learned to trust me and know that I'm on your side, you know, and that I'm not trying to hurt you or hurt Cameron or hurt anybody, that you and I both love these kids. We love each other. And our goal is just to take care of everybody, you know, we might not
Bigger
always
kids,
agree
bigger
on
problems.
how to get there, but let me tell you something. What do we always say? And I reminded you this the other day. The problems that we've had with our kids or the problems we've experienced, even with health issues in our family or whatever it might be, if we were to get into a room of 100 people and throw those problems in
On this table.
We would always grab
Our
our
stuff.
stuff back.
Bring it back.
You know, that, and I'm not here to like say, oh, we've got it good and all that, but I think most people would agree with that when you look at your issues that you're dealing with, that they might feel so big and so huge, but you just have to remember there's so many other things out there that could be going wrong. And I think I mentioned it that night. I said, babe, we're dealing with a kid who locked his keys out of his car at 11 o'clock. We're not dealing with a kid who just got a call because he's drinking and driving or, you know, and so we do. We respect you so much for that. And we joke around and say, okay, we got one done. We got two more to go. Like, you know, you're our first baby that's,
yeah.
he's growing up, and it's so cool watching your kid to grow up to be somebody successful and just a good, nice person. And we are so proud of you for kind of leading the way for your sister and brother, because you've set the bar high for them, and we appreciate it. We know you're not perfect, and we don't expect perfection, but you do your best. And you know, knowing your history and where your life could have gone really easily, you chose to take a different path.
If you were going to talk to any of your peers, what's made you a better person or know about yourself?
Maybe
I'll tell
something
you
hard.
that a haircut changed my life.
What he's talking about is I
had a phase.
You had a
and
phase.
It was not.
But you can't say that was a part of your home life. That was just
No.
a decision you made.
That was a decision I made.
But what did you learn from that? That, you know, the way you were carrying yourself, right?
I mean, I was just like not confident at all.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to like be by myself, and like I didn't want to hear what y'all had to say or anything. But like when I got a haircut and like when I started just like opening myself up to y'all more, like I definitely became more like happy, I guess you could
Confident,
say. Yeah,
too.
confident.
I
And,
think
like
you got a job.
I got a job too, and that helped a lot.
Yeah.
And just like I started talking to more people. Like that's how I met Tyler. He's one of my best friends, and like now I'm friends with all these people.
Yeah, I mean, you can have a big network. Like,
Yeah.
I love knowing people. I love connecting and networking with people. But then, you know, you got this smaller circle that you just make like your own. And you only let certain people in that deserve to be in your circle.
Yeah, I got 5 people in like my close group of friends, but I have a good bit of friends. Like I talk to people in the hallway. Like I always see like at least like 3 people I know in the hallway, and I'll be like, "What's up, bro?" Like,
Yeah. Just
what up?
making them feel important and seen. Yeah. That's so important. And your daddy's really good at that. That's one thing I love about Daddy is, and I think you get a lot of that from him. He's very friendly to people. He loves to make small talk, and that's his.
Not all the time, but yeah, I mean, a lot of times I just want to connect with
Yeah.
people. And it's not about what they can do for me. Sometimes it's about what I can do for them, because if I can serve them, it brings a connection to happen there that one day, you know, I met Brent, who was the CEO of XO, was it like 5 years ago when he came? And so, that's great. I met Brent. Awesome guy. But then it was 3 or 4 years later that after I kept this information I had for a book, that I was with him when I presented it to write it. I had no idea when I first met him that he would be my publisher one day, you know? Like
God's like perfectly lining up
it just
these
lined
steps.
up.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for like Gary, I can't thank Gary Outsey enough.
Yeah, we love
Gary
the
came along
Outsies.
when we talked about our marriage in the beginning. We told you the story the other day, like just trying to figure out finances. and not spending every dollar you got on everything that you want, and being able to, use money and not let money be, not use you, I guess is the best way to say it. Like, it took a long time for me to understand that. But
and Gary, that's who Eric said, I just need some guidance. And Gary barely knew Eric then, and he paid for us to do the Dave Ramsey course, and that's how we learned about, now we're passing that information on to our kids, of how to budget your money and things like that. And so, it's just cool how God just lines everything up like that and prepares,
and Dave, my friendship with Dave Willis, I mean, he gave me my 2-year chip. He helped set that meeting up.
Yeah.
He sure did. He married us.
It's just,
so
it's
it's just
cool.
You have to, these people I'm talking about, they're not necessarily in my tight circle, but they're in my circle of influence, and people I look up to, and people I'm going to serve if they need anything. But then there's people that I just know through passing on Sundays that I have to surround myself with good people. And I hate to admit this, but I heard this when I first started working at this church. Like, the things that you do and the people that you hang out with, you start to gravitate toward that. So I may not like the way that sounds, but it's true. Like, I think about my friends Brian and JT, Todd. Like, we played golf today. I used to play golf with a bunch of guys that they're going to drink, they're going to smoke, But when the day was done, they didn't care what I did the rest of the day, But like, those guys, they're going to, if I had something going on, like, they're going to text me and check on me or things like that. Or I'm going to text and check on them. So it's that group of friends that just needs to be always a part of your circle. So you got somewhere to vent or go to. If we were going to give the listeners for today's episode anything, it would be just a peek inside of our life, on marking this 1 year of doing this nonprofit. And Recovery Vow is a nonprofit, and under the nonprofit is this podcast. But before the podcast came, it was this book, Marriage After Addiction, which came from notes and a prayer, and then we have these classes now. So, but from the discussion from today, I think I just want people to have a peek inside of our life, a view from a stepmom and a wife and a mom, and what it's like being with someone that's in recovery, and knowing that you're not perfect and I'm not perfect.
Yeah, and
we just have to work on it.
It took time. It takes time.
What's time stand for?
Things I must earn.
There you go. And then I've got my kids that's with me, and I told Kristen, and it could have been because I wasn't feeling that good this week. I don't cry a whole lot, but I got emotional this week because we had to send these pictures in of Cameron. You're about to graduate high school. And I think back to when you were born and I was deep in addiction. I would drive an hour down the road with you in the car seat to get cocaine. And while I was driving, I would drink hard liquor on the way there. I would drink a pint with a Diet Coke. And I put you in so many different dangerous situations. This was before Christian was even born. That I could have killed us both, or I could have got us both in trouble, or me in trouble, but you could have been taken away from me and your mom, I just think about those things, and I know that's so heavy and it's hard to talk about, but there's going to be people that listen that they've had to deal with that. And I want them to know that my story isn't just like theirs, but if you're going to compare it, just know that we've all done some bad.
There's hope.
But you can come back from that. Yeah. You can really come back from that. But just going back to you, if I've done anything in my recovery that I'm very, very proud of right now, it's the way that you have grown up in a safe environment now. It was tough when I was 9 months clean when you and Christian and I moved out, and we lived in an apartment.
By Adventure Crossing.
But y'all have so many good memories from that apartment, don't you?
Yeah.
And I remember y'all telling me.
I got him a dog. I mean, I got him a little mixed mutt dog named
Didn't
Buddy.
you get rid of him too?
I got rid of him when we moved. But I mean,
but
we made, we got by. I remember Kristen was picking on me, but I used to decorate our tree with used ornaments from other people's houses because I would buy your clothes from yard sales.
But you were doing the best you could.
We would eat Mexican every Wednesday. I get a healthy chicken salad, and you get, oh God, it was so cheap. Then you get tortilla rolls. I mean, that's all you wanted was a tortilla. But I look back at that, and it seems like it was forever ago, but it wasn't that long ago. You know, it was only 12, 13 years ago, so it goes by so fast. And so for the people that are listening, I mean, I'm going to look in the camera for you guys that are listening that are parents and you are, you know, trying to figure out this addiction or trying to find your way into recovery. Just know that your story is no greater than mine, and it's no worse than mine, and mine is no greater than yours and no worse than yours. I feel like God has opened so many doors since I chose recovery.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
I tried to end my life so I couldn't be here with you. You know, I didn't want to be here. But I'm glad he kept me. And I'm glad that I'm here doing this podcast and doing this work. And I thank you guys I know it sucks sometimes, you know. People think that this is it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of time too, you know.
We're proud of you though. I think that this is one thing that, you know, I think this is one of the reasons you went through your journey is because God knew you were capable of walking other people through it as well. That's one thing that always stuck out to me, even when we were just dating and early in the marriage. You know, you were always available to people when they wanted to talk. And I think it's awesome that you have this platform now to, you know, somebody just messaged me the other day that I know from, I used to blog back in the day. And her name's Cassie. So if you're listening, Cassie, we hear you and we see you and we're just so appreciative. She said, I listen to every single episode.
Really?
I don't even know if she knows anybody in recovery, but people hear you and you're doing good work and we are proud of you. And now it's just, where's Daddy-O? He's doing a podcast or, you know, it's just normal, but we're proud of you. And we don't feel like we're missing out.
This is my projects now.
Yes, this is
no more projects
now,
at home.
Right? But we're proud of you, babe. We're proud of you.
No breaking walls.
No more breaking walls.
Yeah. Now I got 2 boys to cut grass and all that when you're...
Not the front yard, though.
No,
Yeah, I scalped the yard last year.
Yeah.
You did it on purpose, too, I feel like.
No, I just lowered the guard too much.
Yeah.
But Cam, we are proud of you. And like I said, we're all figuring this out together and, you know, you're doing a good job.
So you graduate in 2 weeks, so are you excited?
Yeah.
Are you nervous?
No, not at all. I'm just ready to go. I'm ready to walk across the stage.
Be done.
Yeah.
I think back to all the projects and all the nights he said, hey, Kristen,
I got a project
I
tomorrow.
got a project. But you know what? Those are some of my favorite memories.
Yeah.
Sitting on his bed at the old house. And it's just, you know
remember
what?
I didn't know how to
That's where
spell
we wired
8 one
different.
time.
8?
I didn't know how to spell 8. You were like, we're not leaving till you know how to spell 8. I was
Yeah.
like, all right.
I don't remember that, but
How do you spell 8?
yeah.
No.
Oh, gosh.
E-I-G-H-C.
Yeah.
I have really bad senioritis now.
Yeah. Yeah,
He's
you
ready-
do.
you're ready to
We
check
signed
out.
him out early
Yeah.
today.
So as we land the plane today, I just want to kind of say thank you to my wife, Kristen. One, for giving up our time to allow me to do this nonprofit. Thank you for coming on the podcast. You look beautiful in pink.
He called me out because I wore pink on the last podcast.
Well, that is your signature thing. Cameron, buddy, I just want you to know I'm proud of you. And I appreciate you being patient, and I appreciate you just standing by me and understanding that I'm a good guy. I'm a good man. And even though I wasn't a great guy when you were little in my addiction, I hope the definition that you have of me now is a good one.
It's a whole lot different.
So thank you both for coming on the podcast on our anniversary podcast.
This will come out. Our
anniversary on our
anniversary is
Yeah.
tomorrow. Our anniversary is tomorrow. So you have a lot of anniversaries to celebrate.
I've celebrated our anniversary, babe. I've done it. Okay, I checked the box.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for watching and listening to the Recovery Vow podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow along on all of our social media platforms. A huge shout out to all of our sponsors. You can find a list of them in the show notes below or on the screen you're watching on our YouTube channel. We'll see you next week. Today's episode is brought to you by Communigraphics, The Nonprofit Desk, Corbin Jones State Farm, Paradise Turf, Sally Kohler Photography, Atlas Health and Wellness, Dr. Rhonda Milner, Kendra Neal Studio, Augusta Dream Center, Newsom Electric, New Spring Church, Candace Riddle Realty, Goldmec, Norval Fixture and Equipment, S&S Supplies, Belinda Thompson, Rhett Walker, Augusta Lawn and Turf, Carpet Cleaning Pros of Augusta, Coleman Construction, Bagwell Insurance, Tree Guys with Ties, Barrow Walden, Kendrick Pain and Body, Roof Savers, Game Changers, City of Refuge, Augusta Magazine, Burrow Elijah, Attorney at Law. And a special thank you to all of our other supporters of the Recovery Vow podcast.